For millennia, Armenians created an ancient civilization of builders, healers, scientists, and storytellers at the crossroads of world cultures. They survived conquests and empires, contributed to trade, art, literature, and science, becoming a truly global people. In 1915, under the cover of the Great War, 1.5 million Armenians perished from their ancient homeland, along with their culture and way of life. This was a genocide perpetrated by the Ottoman Empire against its own citizens. Across the four corners of the globe, men, women, and children fled, seeking shelter and a life of peace. They were determined and resilient. The fortunate ones were saved by unsung heroes who risked their lives. Among the saved children was Aurora Martiganyan, an orphaned 17-year-old survivor of the atrocities. She became the star of Ravished Armenia, the first major motion picture produced in Hollywood about the genocide. Based on her autobiography, Aurora was cast in the starring role, reenacting the trauma of her young life and telling the story of her people. The film premiered to sold-out audiences in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and more than 100 cities across the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Australia. Aurora's autobiography sold several hundreds of thousands of copies. She became an international phenomenon during the silent film era, a symbol of survival, goodwill, and the devastation of the genocide. She was the icon of philanthropic aid for the survivors. In 1919, the monumental success of Ravished Armenia raised international awareness and $30 million for 60,000 orphans in the Near East. To this day, Aurora remains a testament to the living memory of the genocide and the gratitude of the Armenian people to their saviors. True to her name, Aurora became the symbol of light and hope for an entire generation. Those who survived and resisted the genocide, like Aurora, were scattered around the world and persevered. They rebuilt their lives and communities with dignity, ever grateful to the Samaritans who rescued their families. Men and women like Jacob Kunzler, Bodil Bjorn, Maria Jacobsen, Fridtjof Nansen, and so many others put their lives at risk to heal and protect the refugees and survivors. The world today faces man-made disasters, not unlike those of a century ago. Every day, heroes worldwide answer the call of human duty. These rare and brave men and women are among us. They are our neighbors. They are the strangers on the street we pass. They work in the far corners of the world, saving lives with open hearts. On behalf of the survivors of the Armenian Genocide, and in gratitude to their saviors, the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity honors the power of the human spirit that compels action in the face of adversity. Anyone, anywhere in the world is eligible for the prize. We salute those who dedicate their lives to enabling others to live and make a difference.
բարեկակներ, երկու ծագերից, մեկը խավարի, մյուսը կիզման, ներկան անգոհ է, անցյալ նանորոշ, գալիքը անստույգ։
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Բարի երեկո, սիրելի հայրենակիցներ, բարի գալուստ, հարգարժան հյուրեր. We are delighted to welcome you all to the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity Ceremony.
We would like to thank the director of the video prologue, Eric Nazarian, and the State Youth Orchestra of Armenia for this splendid opening of this ceremony, and its artistic director and conductor, Sergei Symbatian. The song Aurora's Dream was composed and produced by Serge Tankian especially for the Aurora Prize.
And thanks also to Rudolf Kharatian and the Foundation Ballet 2021, who presented the Aurora Prize statuette to us. This statuette, crafted by Manuel Movsesian, is fittingly titled Towards Eternity.
I would also like to personally thank the founders of the Aurora Prize, Vartan Gregorian, Nuber Afayan, and Ruben Vardanyan, who had a vision of how this prize can change our world and our vision of ourselves so that we reach out to the world rather than turning inwards in our victimization. I am happy to introduce to you my charming co-host, member of the Aurora Prize Creative Council, and exceptional opera singer, Hazmik Papyan.
And I'm pleased to introduce my co-host, a writer of fiction and non-fiction, and a respected journalist and analyst, David Ignatius, whose family traces its roots back to Carbert.
This is the inaugural Aurora Prize Ceremony. It is symbolic that it is happening here on Armenian soil. It is on this very day, on April 24th, that we commemorate the Armenian Genocide, which led to the deaths of 1.5 million people.
No matter how much time passes, the memory of the genocide, the stories of pain and survival live on. The descendants of the survivors are no longer victims. Instead, they have created the Aurora Prize as an expression of gratitude to all the people whose sons and daughters held out a helping hand to the Armenian people during those terrifying times, to those who saved Armenian lives, sometimes at the risk of losing their own.
The Aurora Prize is named for Aurora Mardiganian, a young, fragile girl who showed incredible strength despite her weakness. Aurora experienced all the horrors of the genocide and spent her life dedicated to telling the world the horrific story of the annihilation of the Armenian people. She believed in the power of truth, as we all do.
Aurora Mardiganian's story is a testament to how much one person can achieve. It does not matter how prepared a person is for the trials to come. Love and belief in the ultimate justice and kindness are enough to get one through any difficulty and accomplish the impossible.
The Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity is designed to raise public consciousness about heroic acts and examples of exceptional bravery and compassion from around the world in our time. Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin our ceremony.
Over the centuries, many beautiful parables and legends about self-sacrifice and helping those in need have been told.
They have reached us by word of mouth through scriptures and books. In Armenia, where the written word is cherished, these stories are preserved with an understanding of the power of words and memory.
During the genocide, it was books that were destroyed first. And it was books that were among the things that Armenian mothers rescued first.
100 years ago, brave American diplomats such as Henry Morgenthau and Consul Jackson described unforgettably what they saw. Their record is still invaluable. A century later, courageous observers who see and record the horrors of our world are often journalists. They bear witness for the world.
Amongst us, we have a unique individual who risked his life on 3 separate occasions in order to save others. One of these times was in this very building we are in now. His first heroic act was kept hidden for 6 years. It was only thanks to a Russian journalist, his integrity and loyalty to his vocation, that after all, this selfless act of pure courage became a matter of public record. Let us now applaud this legendary hero, Shavash Karapetyan.
I am proud, personally, to say that tonight's first award is called the ICFJ Integrity in Journalism Award in partnership with the Aurora Prize, created with the International Center for Journalists to honor those in my profession who believe that journalism is a calling and that we have a moral responsibility to present stories with life and death consequences.
Please welcome to the stage the president of the International Center for Journalists, an organization that offers support to journalists from around the world, Joyce Barnathan.
Please also welcome to the stage Fadl and Gulnara, two Yazidi children who call Armenia their home today. Fadl escaped Syria only last year. The plight of children like him became known thanks to journalists who worked under the most challenging circumstances.
It gives me great pleasure to announce the inaugural winner of the International Center for Journalists Integrity in Journalism Award, which is presented in a new partnership with the Aurora Prize. We both believe that journalism plays a crucial role in telling stories of persecution in hotspots around the world. ICFJ aims to advance high-quality journalism by using new technologies that deepen coverage, expand access to information, and engage citizens in the news process. Over 32 years, we've worked with more than 92,000 participants in 180 countries, including Armenia. We helped create several investigative networks that recently broke the Panama Papers story. Our programs have exposed quack doctors in Nigeria and shed light on drug violence in Mexico. Our people and partners will prove every day that better journalism leads to better lives. This award recognizes courageous reporters who bring humanitarian crises to the world's attention. It honors those who risk their own safety to cover the plight of imperiled communities and who demonstrate an unwavering commitment to integrity, freedom, and justice. At a time when it's never been more dangerous to be an international correspondent, these reporters shed light on dark places and give voice to the voiceless and inspire others to take action to save lives. The winner of the ICFJ Award for Integrity in Journalism is Rukmini Kalamaki, a New York Times correspondent who has exposed some of the most heinous crimes against humanity through her unique storytelling and relentless pursuit of the truth. She has traveled to dangerous places to report on human rights violations, and she's returned with heart-rending stories that reveal the causes, the context, and the impact of human rights abuses. Kalamaki's relentless reporting has given voice to silenced victims. Her work has exposed the horrific institutionalization of sex slavery by ISIS and linked child labor in gold mines in Senegal to banks in Switzerland. Her investigative reporting provides hope that the victims will be heard and protected. As Vartan Gregorian said, individuals matter. She sets the standard for our field.
Thank you for your dedication to shining a light on the Yazidi community. Thank you very much.
سپاس باوا چونکی ایرو سوام خبر دا و سوام و دنگ مد دنیای بلند کر ام سپاس یاوات کن. Thank you very much.
Here's a short film about Rukmini, prepared especially for the Aurora Prize.
It's the most riveting profession I think that anyone could do. I can't wait to get to work. I can't wait to start on my new projects. I get to be in the first row as a historical event is unfolding, before me. Timbuktu was the big prize. I managed to get to Timbuktu 3 days after the French liberated it. I asked villagers if they would take me to the buildings that had been controlled by the Al-Qaeda group. What was incredible is all over these buildings were thousands and thousands of pages of Arabic documents. And then I just went building by building, and they started calling me the trash lady of Timbuktu because I was just picking up, dozens and dozens of pages. I spent the next year translating them. I realized that the group's ideology was more complex than I used to think. I believe we need to honestly assess it if we hope to find a way to address the ISIS problem in the future. It started what might be a lifelong pursuit for me, which is the investigation of these groups and the investigation of their ideology. The Islamic State has made it very clear that they consider journalists to be enemy combatants. They consider a journalist like me to be somehow a mouthpiece for the US government. They don't make any distinction between the New York Times and the rest of the American state, even though our journalistic independence is undisputed. We have to be extremely careful covering a group like ISIS. I'm lucky that I was able to find the issue of the Yazidi women, to be able to tell the world about their tremendous suffering. The systematic rape of Yazidi women has become deeply enmeshed in the organization since the group revived slavery as an institution. And the Islamic State's sex trade appears to be based solely on enslaving women from the Yazidi minority. Thousands of women were abused, and hundreds of them have now escaped. I traveled to refugee camps to speak to dozens of them. It gave me an opportunity to properly report their story. My objective is to shine the light of truth on whatever issue it is that I'm covering. It's out of my hands once it's out there. I would surely have liked that my stories on the Yazidi women might have helped bring an end to their suffering, but as a journalist, you're not an activist, right? So all you can do is, when you see a grave human rights abuse, you report it with all your heart as well as you can, and then you kind of hand it to the world. And it's for the world to then take it to the next level.
Now, please welcome the recipient of the ICFJ Integrity in Journalism Award in partnership with the Aurora Prize, Rukmini Kalimaki.
I am honored and humbled to receive this award, and I wish to thank, first of all, the International Center for Journalists, the Aurora Prize team, and the 100 Lives Foundation for this honor. Journalism, in my opinion, is the first line of defense against atrocities. It's journalists who are often the first on the scene after an atrocity is committed. Rarely do the stories we write halt the abuse completely, but they can help awaken the conscience of the world and in that way slow the crimes. Last year, I spent 9 weeks traveling from refugee camp to refugee camp in northern Iraq in order to meet with the women from the Yazidi minority who had been raped by the Islamic State. I could not have done this work without the enormous help I received from the Yazidi community, whose leaders welcomed me into their homes. From the bottom of my heart, I wish to thank Amina Saeed, a Yazidi lawmaker, and Murad Ismail, a Yazidi American who dropped his life in the US in order to do everything he could to help his people. He happens to be with us tonight in this auditorium. I also wish to thank the courageous Nadia Murad, one of the few Yazidi women who has testified before the US Congress with her face unveiled and showing her real name, despite the very real threats she continues to receive from ISIS. She too is here tonight. Thank you. Throughout my time in Iraq, The women I spoke to invited me inside their tents and graciously opened up to me, including about the most uncomfortable and painful details of their ordeal. But many also had a question for me. If I speak to you, they asked, will anything change? If I speak to you, will the rapes stop? This is one of the hard truths of being a journalist. Over and over, I travel to the ends of the earth to sit with people who have endured unimaginable suffering. They hand it over to me in their cupped hands, and then they wait to see what happens. I write my stories with all my heart, and I hand it over to the world, but it is then in the world's hands. I hope that in bearing witness to the suffering of these women, that one day that suffering may end. Thank you.
Congratulations to one of the best journalists in our profession.
Dear friends, before we proceed, we would like to say a few words about an individual who made charitable giving a duty in his life. Kirk Kerkorian, the legendary Armenian-American businessman, arose from humble beginnings to spectacular success. He was a man who continually excelled in the business world, but he did so with an exceptionally kind heart.
Mr. Kerkorian generously donated to help individuals, nonprofit organizations, and countries. He passed away last June, but he left a great legacy behind. Among his last charitable works was a decision to establish Survival Pictures, a production company dedicated to making great films about the human experience while maintaining a charitable purpose. Survival Pictures' first film is The Promise, a love story set against the backdrop of the Armenian Genocide.
We have with us tonight a very special guest who was charged by Mr. Kerkorian years ago to carry on this legacy. Dr. Eric Israelian is the lead producer for Survival Pictures. Please welcome Dr. Eric Israelian.
Thank you all so much. I want to express my sincere thanks to the President, the First Lady, and His Holiness for their attendance and their support of this conference this weekend. I also want to extend thank you to organizers and the founders of the Aurora Prize for making Armenia the heart and soul of humanitarian dialogue in the world this weekend. It's an honor to be invited and to be part of this inaugural event. First of all, I wanted to say that Kirk Kerkorian made all of what I'm about to talk about possible. His business accomplishments, philanthropy are legendary, but he was also a proud Armenian, and he was a champion of the underdog and those who were less fortunate. I'm honored and humbled to have learned from him, and it's also an honor to be before all of you today and share the stage with the inspirational humanitarians you're going to be hearing about. As a physician, I was initially trained to focus on helping one person at a time. And then over the years, I've been blessed to have been given different responsibilities. And now I feel that it is my duty to also focus on communities, populations, and making a difference in the world. I am now a firm believer as well that we can use all forms of artistic media to heal, to enlighten, and to also support charitable causes. We can create art, not only to tell stories, but move people, to have social impact, and to hopefully make the world a better place. When we first created Survival Pictures, we planned for all of our proceeds to be dedicated to nonprofit causes. And despite the fact that there has been an orchestrated campaign of censorship over time to prevent awareness of stories about injustice, we are all here united today against such tactics. Kirk never asked anyone for anything, but I encourage all of you to support our projects, to follow us on social media and Twitter, and to promote the work so that we can start a chain reaction of social good and create opportunities for others to create even more content. Don't let them win. We will also be collaborating on a soon-to-be-announced initiative with George Clooney, John Pendergrast, and the leadership of Not on Our Watch. Let's not let this just be a bumper sticker when we say never again. The Promise is a story about love, hope, and survival.
Thank you, Eric.
Wow.
Now we have the pleasure of a second performance from the State Youth Orchestra of Armenia. They will perform the finale from the Symphony of Bells by Aram Khachaturian, one of the most accomplished Armenian composers of his time. Many thanks to the orchestra and Sergei Sambatyan for that wonderful performance.
As you know, Hasmik, I have made my living by telling stories. If I may, I'd like to share a story with all of you, but it's one I could never put in a newspaper.
I would love to hear it, David.
Once upon a time, a man asked the Lord, "What is heaven and what is hell?" The Lord led the man to two doors. Behind the first was an enormous round table with a large bowl filled with mouth-watering food. But the people at the table looked hungry and sick, dying from starvation. All of them had spoons with extremely long handles attached to their hands. They managed to scoop up the food from the bowl, but as the spoon handles were too long, they couldn't bring it to their mouths. The man was astonished at the sight of their misery. The Lord said, "This is hell." Then behind the second door, the man saw the same round bowl and the same table and the same mouth-watering food. The people sitting around the table held the same long-handled spoons, but this time they looked well-fed, talking happily with each other. "I don't understand," exclaimed the man. "It's simple," answered the Lord. "These people have learned to feed each other." Those that were behind the first door thought only of themselves. This story reminds us that heaven and hell have the same shape. The difference lies in us, in our ability to share and cooperate.
Indeed. Our lives are made up of little pieces of kindness given to us by others. Being grateful to these people means that you are also able to give back, empathize, and provide support. Without these things, life is impossible.
The Aurora Prize is about reaching beyond our personal needs and sense of victimization to honor and affirm others who have suffered. This is what makes us universal, not individual and selfish. To introduce the first award prize finalist, we invite a member of the Aurora Prize Selection Committee, co-founder of the 100 Lives and Aurora Prize initiatives, and one of the people I admire most, President of the Carnegie Corporation in New York, Dr. Vartan Gregorian.
Please also welcome member of the selection committee and executive director of the Women, Peace and Security Network Africa, Nobel Peace Prize Laureate Lema Bowie.
We have been overwhelmed with the level of response to Aurora Prize nominations. We've received 186 nominations from 27 countries in 6 languages, and in order, a total of 86, and in order to do justice to these applications and nominations, we have done the following. To review these nominations, the prize gathered together an extraordinary group of people to form the selection committee, a group of like-minded people who, with commitment to humanitarianism in all its forms, a group of people that I'm proud to call my friends. We're very grateful to welcome so many of them to Yerevan this weekend. One of those, sadly, is not able to join us as the co-chair of the selection committee. A man with an enormous capacity to love, a kind soul, author, survivor of Auschwitz, and a Nobel Peace Prize winner, laureate, my friend Elie Wiesel. Elie has sent a special message for us today, so please turn your attention to the screen to hear his compelling message.
My dear friends, I so wish I could be with you today. The project is important. I even say vital. What would society be? What would culture be? What would civilization be without memory? Memory is what makes a human being more human. What does it mean to be more human? It's to be open to one another, to each other's hope, and to each other's commitment to help overcome difficulties and challenges and dangers. There are so many of them in the world. So many Armenians could have been saved, should have been saved in those times. The tragedy lasted too long. among the Jews themselves later on. They said, look, what happened to the Armenians should not happen to us. And therefore, we should resist right away. So I have a profound feeling of sympathy and comradeship with the Armenians, and they try to fight for their cause. Without our work together, who knows how many people would need words of consolation tomorrow. Thank you.
Unlike the authorities, she had no power. The police do not respond to her. She has struggled to secure the influence of the judiciary. She has no enforcement agencies at her disposal. Instead, it is the kindness in her heart, her indomitable spirit, the compassion for the downtrodden, and her moral authority that gives her the strength that she needs to help to free people from the slavery of bonded labor.
Let us now watch an exclusive video about the first finalist of the Aurora Prize, Saida Fatima.
The brick is the basic unit in the construction work. Everybody needs brick. So they need a lot of workers for more and more production. And for more and more production, they keep slaves. When poor people need money, they take it from the bricklane owner. He put one more zero on their debt. So they can never pay back and stay slaves forever. Worst form of bonded labor, worst form of slavery, modern day of slavery. I have been fighting 35 years for freeing bricklane workers. They are like my brothers and sisters. I feel their pain as my own.
ਜਦੋਂ ਮੀਆਂ ਬਿਮਾਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਆ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚਾ 7 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਕੁੜੀ 5 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਬਸ ਇਹ ਹੋਈਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਫਿਰ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕਮਾ ਕੇ ਖਵਾਉਣਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਣਾ ਤੇ ਮਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਬੱਚਾ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਬਾਪ ਕੋਲ ਤਾਂ ਘੱਟ ਮੰਗਦਾ ਮਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਮੰਗਦਾ
Many of these people are tortured and sexually abused.
ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅੰਦਰ ਡੱਕਿਆ ਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਕੱਢਦਾ ਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਟਾਂ ਪਵਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਰ ਕੇ ਚੌਕੀਦਾਰੇ ਇੱਟਾਂ ਵਾ ਭੁੱਖੇ ਤੱਸੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਰੋਡ ਖਰਚਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ
No health care, no education, no hope for future. I want to end slavery. I will rescue the people as much as I can do. I have to arrange a court process for them and rescue them back to freedom. Rescue operation is very risky, always taking place at night. Normally, the owners violate the court orders to free slave workers. Corrupt police is on their side. So I also have to bribe officials to ensure the rescue. Of course, it's illegal, but we have to save the lives of the people. Today we succeeded. We freed the humans. 5 lives. A family is reunited.
ਜੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵਰਦੀ ਦੇ ਦਈਏ ਫਿਰ ਤੂੰ ਸਕੂਲ ਜਾਏਂਗੀ ਹਾਂ ਹੈ ਹਾਂ ਤੂੰ ਸੂਟ ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅੱਛਾ
After release of slaves, I am doing their rehabilitation. Also, I am doing their awareness. I believe workers should demand their rights. Bricklane owners attempt to kill me many times. Once they surrounded me and my younger brother and they shoot at our legs. We were severely wounded. My brother, he became permanent disabled. Sorry.
The color of these bricks, they give me very bad smell of the blood of these workers. And humiliations, sexual abuse, so this color, I hate a lot this color.
We now invite to the stage this remarkable woman whose courage has led to tens of thousands of children escaping slavery in Pakistan. Pakistani defender of human rights and workers' rights, the General Secretary of the Bonded Labor Liberation Front of Pakistan, finalist for the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity, Sayyidah Fatma.
It's great honor and pleasure strengthen for me to be here as a part of this global community who believe and realize superb of humanity. When I start my struggle 36 years ago, my own countrymen were against me. They became my enemy and they did best level to kill me, to stop my work. But today, the worthy hands of Honorable Wharton Gregorian, Robin Afian, and the other Aurora team, Miss Hina Jilani, Shiri Abdi, Lima Gibwi are on my head. And the support from this global community, I am here, I am inspired from Madame Aurora. She is alive. Live long. I request to all of you, I appeal you, please stand up for 1 minute for those who sacrifice their lives. Thank you. I resolute today, at the time when in Armenia, Armenian people's genocide,
At this time, I resolute that I will struggle, I will continue my struggle against this cruelty, this brutality, this inhumanity, this bad practice, this inhuman practices. And I am sure one day together we will change the world. We will see the world where is no place for slavery, for injustice, for inhuman practices. Thank you. Thank you very much. As Vartan Grigorian said, not all the members of the selection committee are able to be present with us today. However, distance cannot dampen ties as strong as these, and so they join us in spirit tonight through their messages of support and unity.
Please turn your attention to the screen once again to hear from the former United Nations High Commissioner on Human Rights, former President of Ireland, Mary Robinson.
Good evening. I'm very sorry not to be able to be with you in person at this wonderful first ceremony of the Aurora Prize, but I'm in New York for the signing of the Paris Climate Agreement and for other important climate and development meetings that are taking place. I was proud to be a member of the selection committee because we were bowled over by the incredible 4 finalists that we chose and whom you will be celebrating this evening. Each of them had such a story of their humanitarian concern and their actions on behalf of so many others. It was very humbling, very moving, very special to be part of a selection committee, to be able to recognize the achievements of those 4 finalists. And I hope it will be a wonderful celebration of humanitarian concern and achievement and recognition in Armenia, which is a place of such special recollection and memory at this time. Thank you.
David, I liked your story about heaven and hell.
Thank you.
If I may, I will try and tell you, in my opinion, a no less spellbinding legend. The story took place in Thailand. Once upon a time, an incoming tide brought many starfish out of the Indian Ocean. The low tide came around, and many of the starfish were stranded, drying out under the sun. Meanwhile, a horde of young boys was running along the beach. One of them started picking up the starfish and carrying them out of the sea so that they could continue to live. The other boys were amazed. Why are you doing that? That's just foolish. Look around. There are millions of starfish here. The whole coast is simply covered with them. Your efforts will not change anything. The boy picked up another starfish, thought for a moment and said, "No, my efforts will change a great deal for this starfish." And he carried it back into the sea. The boys looked at one another, and they all started to pick up starfish and carry them into the sea.
I understand you, Hasmik, about the starfish. One by one by one. That's how we do good in the world.
This parable is consistent with the life principles of the next Aurora Prize finalist, an American doctor working in a hospital near Kauda in the Nuba Mountains of Sudan. The only surgeon for more than 500,000 people, Dr. Tom Katina.
To recognize our second Aurora Prize finalist, please welcome member of the Aurora Prize Selection Committee and President Emeritus of the International Crisis Group, former Foreign Minister of Australia, Gareth Evans.
And Shirin Ebadi, Nobel Peace Prize Laureate, human rights lawyer, and Iran's first female judge.
The founders of the Aurora Prize, Ruben, and Barton, and Nubar, are very persuasive people, as we all know. But they didn't really have to work very hard to persuade the 9 members of the selection panel they drew from all corners of the world to participate in this wonderful enterprise of choosing tonight's winner of a prize that I think we all, deep down inside, really believe that it's only a matter of time before it comes to assume the importance, the stature, the credibility of the Nobel Peace Prize. The reason these guys were so persuasive is they had such a wonderful story to tell about the driving impulse of this prize, the concept of the prize, and the kind of people that we are likely to be considering for it. The driving impulse of the prize, of course, overwhelmingly was to ensure that we never forget, as some people want us to do, the Armenian Genocide, and that we do continue to understand the incredible risks there are in so many places around the world of going back to the edge of that particular volcano. 10 years ago now, the United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted the principle of the responsibility to protect people at risk of genocide, other crimes against humanity, and war crimes. But we only have to look at what's happening in Syria, just one place in the world, to know how that responsibility is still not being exercised. It's absolutely crucial that we do continue to remember the reality of our common humanity and find ways of ensuring that people who work to preserve our common humanity are appropriately recognised. And that, of course, is the concept of the prize, which we were persuaded to participate in. The Aurora Prize is dedicated to recognising those wonderful people around the world who have sacrificed or put at risk their own life to save the lives of others. And there is an absolutely extraordinary cast of characters that we've seen nominated for the prize. 186 of them in 27 countries, as you heard, and of them scores could have been up on this platform tonight. We had the task of reducing, as you heard from Mary Robinson, the final 20 nominees that were chosen by our advisors down to the 4 finalists and the ultimate winner. And what a task it's been, because what wonderful people they are. And may I now hand over to Shirin Ebadi, my colleague, to tell us a little bit more about one of the most extraordinary of them all, the surgeon from the Nuba Mountains, Tom Katina. But Shirin Ebadi, over to you.
شهر جنگ زده ای رو تصور کنید که هر لحظه بمب‌های فراوان بر سر مردم می‌ریزد، خانه‌های بسیاری ویران شده، تعداد زیادی کشته شده و مجروحند.
Imagine a war-torn town where every day people are subjected to bombing raids, where every day the whole blocks of houses are decimated and people are wounded and injured.
در چنین شرایطی هر کس به فکر این است که از موقعیت خطرناک فرار کنه و جان خودش و خانواده‌اش رو نجات بده.
Under such circumstances, every individual would be thinking about fleeing this scene of horror in order to save his or her own life and the lives of their families.
و بیماران زیادی هستند که احتیاج به درمان و دکتر دارند، اما در این شهر فقط یک دکتر باقی مانده.
And imagine those truckloads of casualties piling up, and there is only one doctor to deal with all these injured people.
در شرایطی که همه فرار کردند این دکتر 24 ساعت و در 7 روز هفته کار میکنه تا جان افراد بسیاری رو بتونه نجات بده.
In such circumstances, where all people with medical ability seem to have fled the scene, yet this doctor has stayed and he's devoting his life to saving these people's lives, working around the clock.
او آخرین امید مردم شهری است که زیر بمباران باقی ماندند.
And he is the last hope of the people who are subjected to these atrocities.
و او هرگز حاضر نیست این شهر رو رها بکنه و با قبول تمام مخاطرات برای خودش و خانواده‌اش در این شهر مانده.
Yet he's refused to abandon these desperate people, and despite all these atrocities and threats to his life, he's remained behind to help them.
حتی الان هم در اون شهر دکتر دیگری نیست و به همین دلیله که نمیخواست بیمارانش رو رها بکنه نتوانست در این مراسم شرکت کنه.
As a matter of fact, the reason he has been unable to attend this ceremony is that he remains the only doctor and he did not want to abandon his people to come here.
از دکتر تام کاتینا بزرگواری، شهامت و فداکاری رو یاد میگیریم.
Let us learn from the courage and the self-sacrifice of the great honorable Dr. Tom Katina.
Please turn your attention to the screen once more to witness the challenging mission of Dr. Tom Katina in South Sudan.
The mountains is a place which had and has extremely limited healthcare, both in terms of facilities and healthcare personnel. It's a sort of virgin territory. When we first opened, it was March 2008, and during that period, that was in the peace time here in Sudan. Fighting broke out on June 6, 2011. There was a civil war against the Khartoum government, which is a known serial genocidal regime. I was the only doctor here at the hospital. We had 2 clinical officers, and we had other health personnel that were expatriates. And what happened was all the expatriates, our anesthetist, our lab technician, our pharmacy technician, our ward nurse in charges, they were all evacuated. So for me, I said, in good conscience, I can't leave the place. This is the only functioning referral hospital, the only surgical hospital. If I left, people don't have any care at all, pretty much. So I decided to stay. It was a moment of moral clarity. We call ourselves missionaries, and yet when the times get rough, we take off. That's not much of a Christian witness to do that. So it's due to the grace of God that saw us through this difficult period. The strength and courage of the NUBA staff, the strength and courage of the sisters and the priests and everybody that stayed behind that helped us make this happen. We've gotten 30-some casualties since yesterday. 8 were injured with air bombardments. There's some serious fighting going on now all over the mountains. So I spent most of the day today in the operating room. God knows what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow. But this has been our life for the past 5 years. The hospital was initially designed as an 80-bed hospital. Now we have 435 beds. There are beds all over the place. We have beds in verandas. We have beds in the corridor. We have huge tents outside. At one point, we were above that number. We had 2 or 3 to a bed. So we're way above capacity of where we had anticipated when we first started. I do a full round on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I try to see everybody in those days. So it can be 400 people, sometimes more than 400, sometimes 440 people, it depends. In a month, we do around maybe 140, if you include both major and minor surgeries. We try to do most of those on Wednesday and Friday. Of course, we're open all the time. Today's not an operating room day, but we had several wounded come. So we had to amputate a leg, we had to do a laparotomy, we had to do another guy who had his bones shattered. Now I've been out for 8 years. For me, it's a privilege to work with these people. And I really feel a sense of obligation to do my best to take care of them. That's just how it is. I feel like I was giving up if I left. That also encourages me quite a bit to see the patient's resilience, to see how some of these patients suffer things that you can't even imagine, and how they stay calm, how they can still laugh and still joke and still carry on with life. I mean, to me, it's unbelievable. When you see this, you say, how can I give up, and leave, when these guys are facing things much worse and are carrying on with life. Let me try a bit with my own weaknesses and try to carry on with things. Sorry? How many? Take the ones that look the worst and get inside. If they look really bad, I want you to call Isaac and if they really need an operation, call Isaac and Helen. Okay? Sorry guys, we just got 2 truckloads of wounded. So this is a life, probably from a tank explosion or something. Probably amputate these guys tonight.
So powerful. Unfortunately, Dr. Katina could not be here with us today, as was mentioned, because he's doing that work. But he's recorded a video message for tonight's ceremony.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very sorry that I can't be with you there this evening. I'm doing this by Skype. In the back of my mind, I hear some vehicles coming with some wounded people, so I've got to rush off. And first off, I'd like to thank the Aurora Prize Committee, of course, for this really wonderful award. I really think it's a wonderful thing you're doing, and I'd like to encourage you to continue on with this. I know this is the inaugural year, and I think it's a wonderful idea. And I want to thank you for this great honor.
Here with us today is his niece, Michela Catena, a distinguished environmentalist. Michela, please join us on stage.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today to collect this award on behalf of my uncle. I know he's really upset he couldn't make it today, but as you just saw in the video, his work is very important and he's desperately needed there. So thank you.
Thank you all. Please take your seats. If I may, I will take you back to the distant past.
To another Aurora parable. And let's tell this one together.
With pleasure. One sunny day, a handsome young man was standing in the town square and proudly boasting about having the most beautiful heart. It was really perfect, not a dent, not a scratch. Everyone in the crowd agreed that this is the most beautiful heart they had ever seen. Suddenly, a young boy stepped out from the crowd and addressed the young man. Your heart does not come close in beauty to that of my grandfather. The whole crowd turned to look at the boy. His grandfather quietly turned to leave. The young man laughed. This cannot be. An old heart cannot be beautiful. You see, your grandfather leaves so as not to embarrass you. The old man paused, looked at his grandson, and revealed his heart. It was dented, all covered in scars. Pieces of the heart were removed and replaced with pieces that were mismatched and ill-fitted. Edges of the heart were ragged and torn.
The old man broke his silence. Your heart looks perfect, but I would never swap my heart for yours. Every scar on my heart represents a person to whom I gave love, a part of my heart. And that person gave a part of theirs to fill the empty space in mine. But because pieces of different hearts do not fit together perfectly, the edges of my heart are torn. I keep them because they are a memory of the love that we shared. Sometimes people did not return the pieces of their hearts to me, so my heart has empty spaces. When you give your love, you cannot expect to always have it returned to you. And though these holes bring me pain, they remind me of the love I shared.
The young man was stunned, tears streaming from his eyes. He walked over to the old man, took out his own heart, tore off a piece and handed it to the old man. The young man looked at his heart. It was no longer perfect, but in fact was so much more beautiful than before.
You know, Hasmik, we do a pretty good duet.
Yes, I agree.
This story reminds us that only when we give to others do we receive. We all want to live with missing pieces of our hearts.
To introduce the next Aurora Prize finalist, a person with a big heart and a pure soul, we invite a member of the selection committee, former United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General on Human Rights Defenders, Haina Gilani.
And a co-founder of the 100 Lives and Aurora Prize Initiatives, managing partner and CEO of Flagship Ventures, Nubar Afayan.
Over the course of the last year, I've read so many inspiring stories. In reading these stories of our nominees and our finalists tonight, I've discovered the same spirit of humanity that moved the 2 German officers who saved my grandfather's life in defiance of their superiors' orders during the Armenian Genocide 100 years ago. That defiance, that commitment to the human spirit is what we're here to celebrate today. Stories of people who have dedicated themselves to preserving life and to advancing humanity. Bringing humanity to life and expressing our gratitude is at the very heart of what we aim to do and to achieve together when we created the Aurora Prize. Connecting the past to the present, the spirit of humanity creates a bridge to a more just world in the future. I'm humbled by these stories and proud to be sharing this moment with you. Thank you.
It is my privilege tonight to introduce and honor Father Bernard Kinby, another Aurora Prize finalist whose work and personality matches the vision and the inspiration of the founders of this prize. Dr. Bernard is from the Central African Republic. He works in extremely complicated and difficult circumstances. So much so that when the Aurora Prize film team wanted to make a video on him, they couldn't even meet him. Ladies and gentlemen, the Central African Republic is a dangerous place. Yet, every day in the morning, Father Kinby opens the doors of his mission to help those who seek his support. And this he does because of his motivation to help humanity. This he does because of the generosity of his spirit. And he does this in the face of fear, in the face of threats, yet he refuses to be intimidated by factionalism, prejudice, or intolerance. There are no words really enough to define the kind of work and the service that he gives to humanity. All I can say is, these are the people who will never stand down. Congratulations, Father Kinby.
The following film that tells the story of the next finalist for the Aurora Prize was made out of archival footage and an interview with Father Bernard himself.
En 2010 et j'ai reçu une affectation qui m'a amené en Centrafrique. J'ai connu les musulmans, les animistes et les chrétiens qui s'entendaient très bien. Nous, à Bruxelles, à partir de l'avril 2013, on a commencé à voir les rebelles Séléka, les rebelles qui sont à dominance musulmane. Les rebelles Séléka agissaient et ils exécutaient la pauvre population, ils brûlaient leurs cases, ils pillaient leurs chèvres et leurs biens. La population non musulmane était beaucoup arrêtée, torturée, maltraitée. Mon hôpital, là où je suis directeur, et c'est l'unique hôpital qui couvre toute la zone sur 150 km. Tous les Sélékas venaient se soigner dans cet hôpital. Mon principe, c'est que je ne connais pas d'ennemis, je ne connais pas de rebelles. Quand quelqu'un vient blessé ou malade, je soigne tout simplement. Le fait pour eux de se voir quand même bien accueillis et soignés comme il faut faisait que ma vie était aussi préservée. Il y a eu une autre rébellion qui s'est formée dans les villages alentours pour combattre les rebelles Séléka. La nouvelle rébellion s'appelle Anti-Baraka. Ils ont mené quelques attaques contre les rebelles Séléka. Musulmans qui sont restés, c'est eux qui ont subi les coups de ces milices anti-Baraka. Ce sont les anti-Baraka qui ont été les plus atroces. Une violence terrible, exceptionnelle, que je n'ai jamais imaginée dans ma vie. J'ai vu des vieillards tués. J'ai vu des femmes tuées. J'ai vu même des handicapés tués. J'ai vu des personnes brûlées dans leur maison. Et j'ai vu des cadavres tués à coups de machine. Tout ce qui ressemblait à un musulman était systématiquement tué. Ça a été des moments très difficiles, très pénibles. Surtout être en discussion avec ces milices anti-Baraka et les convaincre de ne pas tuer. Et parfois on leur dit que vraiment il y a des satellites des Américains qui sont en l'air, qui les regardent directement. Les musulmans qui venaient, il y a un groupe que je cachais dans le laboratoire, dans le bloc opératoire, et dans ma propre maison, là où je dors. Les femmes et les enfants étaient gardés dans l'école. Les débuts, quand les Sélékas étaient là et qu'ils menaçaient, j'accueillais les non-musulmans que je cachais. Mais lorsque les Sélékas sont partis et que les anti-Baraka sont venus, c'est ces musulmans qui sont menacés. Protéger les musulmans, pour moi, c'est une évidence parce que ces musulmans, c'est des êtres humains créés par Dieu. Pour moi, la religion, c'est pouvoir donner sa vie chaque jour pour toutes les personnes qu'on rencontre, même lorsqu'on lui cherche du mal. C'est toujours l'amour qui brise les murs de la haine et de la division. C'est l'amour et le bien qui apportent le salut à l'humanité.
We now invite to the stage a man who was traveled here from a country that is plagued with a decades-long civil war. Despite unimaginable deprivations, he offers help to those who need it, regardless of their affiliation with any of the warring sides.
Father Bernard Kinvey from Bosemtle, the Central African Republic, a priest who believes that, in his words, only love can destroy the walls of hatred.
Je suis très honoré d'être parmi vous ce soir à cette grande célébration de l'amour.
I am extremely honored to be here with you tonight and share in this celebration.
Cette célébration me confirme que seul l'amour peut détruire les murs de la haine.
This celebration is proof that only love can destroy hatred.
Et cette célébration m'invite à lancer un appel à toutes les personnes qui sont dans cette salle aussi ici aujourd'hui.
And this celebration inspires me to call to all of you who are in this room today.
Cet appel est tout simple. Nous avons dans nos maisons nos enfants, des personnes qui sont avec nous. Nous avons dans nos quartiers des voisins. Nous avons dans nos lieux de travail des collègues. Pour sauver des vies humaines, il faut commencer par là. Vivons l'amour au sein de notre société pour transformer notre humanité en amour.
All of you in this room have at home children, neighbors, colleagues, and in fact, to save lives, the love has to start at home.
Thank you, Father Bernard, Nubar, and Hina. Please take your seats. Unfortunately, another member of the selection committee, a Nobel laureate and twice elected president of Costa Rica, Oscar Arias, could not be here tonight, but his thoughts are with us and he sent a message.
In a world where violence and injustice often seems overwhelming, the greatest gift any human can give another is the gift of hope. We know that sometimes, amidst all the darkness and despair, we will witness acts of selflessness, hear stories of compassion, bear witness to true courage. And when we do, we redouble our efforts to apply these values to our own corner of the world. This is why I consider myself to be forever indebted to the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity. Being a part of the inaugural edition of this award has given me not one, not two, but dozens and dozens of reasons to hope. The commitment and vision of the creators of the prize, the wisdom and leadership of the friends and colleagues on the selection committee, and above all, the heroism and perseverance of these remarkable nominees have left me renewed and inspired. I'm so grateful that now the world entire will have the opportunity to hear your stories. I am so sorry I was unable to join you in person today and send you from Costa Rica, a country of peace, my desire that each of you find in Armenia the same hope for the future that you have given to me.
has been an honor to be on stage with my new friend, Hasmik Papian, whose lyrical soprano voice has thrilled audiences at the New York Metropolitan Opera, Milan's La Scala, Rome's Santa Cecilia Academy, the Vienna Opera, among others. I want to ask Hasmik to share her great artistry with us here tonight.
I am a host today to celebrate the work of others, but as they give, how can I say no?
Wonderful. Please welcome Hasmik Papian. Brava, brava, Hasmik. Your singing of Barsak Kanachian's Lullaby reminded me of a book that I recently reread. I was very touched by it, and I want to share my impressions with you. In this memoir, the author wrote about his grandmother in Tabriz. He described some of her favorite folk sayings. Don't insult a crocodile before you cross the river. Those who know much don't talk much. And an unkind word is like a thrown stone. It cannot be called back. And then he had this remarkable passage, which I try to imagine as if heard by a boy of 10. She taught us that earthly belongings are ephemeral. What endures are good deeds and reputation, one's name, one's dignity. She taught us not to envy, because envy tends to deform character. You must not have a hole in your eye, she used to say. That hole is bottomless. It can never be filled. That's what an Armenian boy of 10 heard from his grandmother in Tabriz. That's what we dream we can teach our own children. That boy is now one of the most distinguished academics in the world, a co-founder of 100 Lives and the Aurora Prize, and my friend, Vartan Grigorian. The next finalist of the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity is a woman who became a mother for tens of thousands of orphaned children during the Rwandan genocide. She saw with her own eyes brutal murder, yet never lost her commitment to save those she could, and her belief in the possibility of good.
Ladies and gentlemen, to recognize the Aurora Prize finalist, we now invite co-chair of the Aurora Prize Selection Committee and one of the founders of Not on Our Watch, filmmaker, activist, philanthropist, and Oscar-winning movie star, George Clooney.
And the co-founder of the 100 Lives and Aurora Prize Initiative, co-founder and chair of the Idea Foundation, Ruben Vardanyan. George and Ruben, would you join us at the podium?
First off, I think you all are very well aware of my friend Matt Damon.
A little bit fatter, a little bit.
Well, you're looking good these days, Matt. I know that I've spent a little bit of time now in Armenia, and I found that one of the things that you love most to do is to give a toast. I've had several toasts here, and even though we don't have a drink, I wanted to give a toast to Ruben and Nubar and Vartan. And I have to say, what you've done tonight and what you're doing is extraordinary. It's about doing the right thing. And honestly, if we were giving out awards in some way or another, we would probably be giving them to you. And that's the truth. You make the world better, all of you, and we're very proud to be here tonight.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
You can roll the teleprompter back. I'll just start it from here. Words matter. Years before anyone uttered the word genocide, there was Armenia. And although the actual word was yet to be introduced, we were well aware of its characteristics. Cruelty has always been at the core. Not self-defense, not simply war, but the deliberate destruction of an entire people. It happened to Armenians starting 101 years ago, and we've seen it repeated all over the world since. Germany, Cambodia, Bosnia, Rwanda. I've seen it firsthand in the broken limbs and the broken families and the broken hearts of the people of Darfur. So I've seen what mankind is capable of at its worst. But I've also seen something else, something much stronger than hate. I've seen bravery and kindness and incredible acts of love. Tonight, we celebrate the best examples of that. The simple truth is that all of us here tonight are the result of someone's act of kindness. The Clooney family, my family, fled a potato famine in Ireland to come to the United States, where their very survival required a room, a meal, and a helping hand. We all stand on the shoulders of good people who didn't look away when we were in need. It might have been 101 years ago, or it might have been last year. If we are to survive as a people, we can't simply look away, not from the people of Syria, or South Sudan, or the Congo. We call them refugees, but they're people just like you and me, and if you stand right in front of them and you look them deep into their eyes, you might very well see an Irish potato farmer, or you might see a young Armenian girl named Aurora trying to get home. We have all been given this gift of humanity at some time in our history. Tonight's award celebrates heroism and bravery far beyond what most of us could do in a lifetime, much further beyond. And our nominees didn't graduate from some hero school. They were just everyday people who saw a need, and they did something about it, something extraordinary. And so tonight we honor them. And in doing so, we honor the 1.5 million lives that were lost 101 years ago. And we honor those lives by calling their tragedy by its true name, genocide, the Armenian Genocide. Hitler once famously said, "But who remembers Armenia?" The answer is the whole world. That's who.
Thank you, George. It's a really remarkable speech and very personal and very emotional for me. I hope that next time when you'll be in Armenia, we'll have a more toast and more positive toast about something which is happening in Armenia. You've been in diligence school, you saw Tumo, you saw the kids growing, and I hope you will come with Amal and we'll enjoying now the two of you being here. You always open invitation anytime you want to come to Armenia. We'll always be glad to see you. It gives me great pleasure to present the next finals of Aurora Prize, Marguerite Barankitse. I'll say on this stage tonight because some time ago, some stranger saved the life of my grandfather, who later ended up at the orphanage school in Armenia. In many ways, not unlike the one run by extraordinary woman, Margaret is a woman who really encouraged and not afraid to stand against the reckless actions taken by men. She stand and she blinded hated two killers. She saved thousands of the orphanage children who were deprived of their parents and amid with the war and AIDS epidemics. She became a mother to all children who was no one left to turn on, or perhaps never did. She reminds us the human spirit and resilience are endless. If one of the committed to the belief. I want to say, for me, it's a very emotional day. It's personally feeling very difficult to talk because really it was the dream of the Nubar, Mai, and Vartan many years ago to make this award in Armenia, especially because I believe we are like nation knows how painful is suffering after genocide, how painful to lose our kids 18 years old in Artsakh now in April, how difficult to continue see the violence around us and see no human behavior. But I think this is why we make us stronger, and the only way if we can give back and help others also. Just think about ourselves is not enough. And I'm so great today in Yerevan, in April 24, a special day for our Armenian nation, we are celebrating the people who really saved the lives of others in other parts of the world. And I want to say thank you.
In addition to all that has already been said about Marguerite Barankitse, we now invite you to watch a short film about her inspiring work.
Pendant plusieurs décennies, le Burundi et le Rwanda ont été déchirés par un conflit entre les deux ethnies principales qui sont les Hutus et les Tutsis. En 1994, au Rwanda a eu lieu le génocide et plus d'1 million de Tutsis ont été tués. Me rappelle le cauchemar que j'ai vécu dans ma patrie, le Burundi. Les voisins assassinés 72 Hutus sous mes yeux et 25 enfants sont restés sans parents. Le 12 mai 1994, j'ai créé Maison Shalom pour refuser la guerre, pour refuser le génocide, pour dire nous sommes tous une même famille, une famille des enfants de Dieu. Nous avons construit des maisons, des écoles, des ateliers, grand hôpital, le plus moderne au Burundi. Je ne voulais pas que la maison Shalom soit appelée un orphelinat. Je leur disais, vous êtes des princes et des princesses. Et moi, je suis votre maman.
We, children in Maison Shalom, different ethnic background, but we were living together in peace. Like our educator, Maggie, her ethnic is different than mine, but she's the one who actually saved me from the situation I was in.
Oma sinzi ingene nabimubwira kubera kuri jewe ni nka byose ni papa akaba na mama n'umubyeyi sinzi ingene nabivuga kuri jewe ni byinshi.
Et c'est comme ça que les enfants ont créé une nouvelle ethnie. Quand on leur demandait quelle est votre ethnie, si vous êtes Hutu ou Tutsi ou Mutwa ou Muzungu, alors nous avons dit, les enfants, ils chantaient, ce sont des Hutsitwa Kongo Zungu. Aujourd'hui, ma patrie est de nouveau en proie à la violence. Le président en exercice a violé la Constitution et fait son troisième mandat. Ceux qui ont essayé de protester ont été tués. On voulait me tuer moi aussi. J'ai quitté ma patrie. La maison Shalom au Burundi est à présent fermée car les autorités ont tout fermé. L'année dernière, presque 300 000 personnes ont fui le Burundi. La plupart d'eux vivent dans les camps des réfugiés, dans des conditions fort pénibles. Ma nouvelle mission est de faire naître l'espoir chez ces personnes. Aujourd'hui, vous restez debout. Never give up. Have you? Never give up. Never give up. Welcome, baby. On a fermé nos bâtiments de la maison Shalom. Ce ne sont pas ces briques. Et je dis à tout le monde, ils nous ont enterrés, mais ils ont oublié que nous sommes des graines. La maison Shalom au Rwanda essaie de financer la formation des réfugiés. Je veux qu'ils reviennent au Burundi en tant que médecins, agronomes, pas comme des rebelles avec des armes dans les mains. Ce n'est pas de distribuer la nourriture, c'est de distribuer la dignité et un seul peuple. Et nous allons réussir, et nous allons rentrer debout en chantant les chants de la victoire avec les palmiers, comme dimanche passé. Oui, la victoire de l'amour sur la haine.
We now invite to the stage the Aurora Prize finalist, Marguerite Barankitse.
Oui, c'est la victoire de l'amour sur la haine.
Yes.
Aujourd'hui, malgré ce que j'ai vécu ce matin dans votre mémorial du génocide.
Yes, it is the victory of love over hatred, despite what I felt this morning in your memorial.
Ce matin, quand j'ai vu ce mémorial, c'est le 24. Ça m'a rappelé, j'ai fui le 24 l'année dernière. Ça fait une année que j'ai quitté ma maman, le Burundi.
This morning, when I went to your memorial, the 24th of April, it reminded me that is exactly the date when I fled my country. I had to leave my mom, Burundi, on the 24th of April last year.
Alors, j'ai vu le chanteur arménien, Charles, mon frère Charles qui est là. J'ai pensé au dernier couplet où il dit « Une lueur d'espoir, une flamme, une envie de prendre ton destin entre tes mains, à bras le corps, Armenia, Hayastan. »
And that's when I saw the singer Charles, my brother Charles, and I remember the last words of his song, a glimmer of hope, a flame, the wish to take your own fate in your hands and stand up, you Armenia, Hayastan.
Merci peuple arménien, merci, vous m'avez donné le courage de retourner un jour pour chanter aussi l'hymne de mon pays. L'amour triomphera toujours. Merci, merci.
Thank you to you Armenians for giving me courage and giving me the strength to think I can go back, and I will go back one day to my country and sing our own national hymn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Margaret, could you please stay a moment?
We'd now like to invite all of our distinguished finalists to join us on stage, please. Sayyida Fatima.
Father Bernard Kinvi David.
And representing Tom Katina, Michaela Katina. To present the Aurora Prize to the laureate, I invite to the stage the Aurora Prize founders and the fellow selection members of the selection committee.
Please welcome back Nubar Afeyan,
Martin Gregorian,
Garrett Evans,
Hina Jelani,
Leima Bowie,
Shireen Abadi.
Now, I would also like to invite Representative Ernst & Young, the independent observers of the Aurora, who did a great job helping us to be sure that all the process that we organized during last year was objective and transparent. Emma Rakilan and Tal Goldhammer.
We are proud of how the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity aligns with the purpose our purpose of building a better working world.
And we are pleased to confirm that we observed the selection process for Aurora, and we confirm its integrity. Thank you for this honor.
Friends, let us thank Emma and Tal.
I learned. I'm learning, like Matt Damon, I'm trying to be a little bit better. You know, I have a very difficult position because I need to say thank you for all the people who play an important role of this process. We started 2 years ago when we discussed about 100th anniversary of our genocide. I cannot name all the names of people who've been involved in this process, and only one thing I can say, they all give a heart and energy and soul to support this project. I'm so grateful to people who, different nationalities, found inspiring to be part of this process. People who've been volunteers, people who've went to the very difficult regions in the world and tried to make the movie, people who organized the process, people who put their efforts and knowledge and wisdom and time to this process. I think we are living in a very fragile world. We are living in a world where people don't trust each other, people have a short-term vision about their future, and people really don't understand each other very well. I think this process which we didn't organize really create absolutely different attitude. We can work together, we can do together everything, which looks impossible. And you know, I want to say one emotional part. Last year when we've been here in Yerevan, in 100th University, it was freezing. It was snowing, it was cold, and it was really like the weather was crying with us about our all 1.5 million people who been killed and died during the genocide. And I learned today, it's the first time during the last 60 years, in 24th of April, we have a sunny day. And I have to say, thanks God, you're also with us, because you also support what we're doing, because people become saint. We got 1.5 million people become saint, and this first year of new era of the Armenian, when we remember, we demand, but we're also thankful and we're giving back. And I think this is the great opportunity to again say thank you and say we can do it, and we're doing this all together. And I want to say big շնորհակալություն բոլորին.
Okay, so here we go. First, I wanted to say that it has been for me, and I hope for all of us, it's been a huge honor to serve on this committee with these incredibly gifted, wonderful humanitarians. And also, it's important, we're going to now give, one person is going to receive this Aurora Prize, but these 4 stories are humbling to be in the presence of, and I think once more we should tell them all how much we appreciate what they've done. Thank you. Now I do have an envelope, and the very first recipient of the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity is going to go to Marguerite.
Okay. Well, you say.
Yeah. You know, we have a very unusual award. We decided to make first of all, I totally agree with George, we're not the winner, it's the laureate. It's the first inaugural laureate, which we're really grateful and believe it's the best to creating the story of the Aurora Prize for many hundreds of years. And she, like laureate, will get $100,000 for help to continue her work. But as part of the process, we thought about to do something differently and said, maybe we can ask the person who always begging for the money to do her job and try to help others and always going and asking grants, charity, and always create it's very difficult. Believe me, to go ask money is not easy. And we decided maybe it would be best to give the person who's been doing this many years something which is very, very remarkable, the opportunity also to give money to institutions which she or he believe it's the most inspiring institutions, and this institution will get $1 million. And we asked the nominees, the finalists, to give us up to 3 organizations that they want to give money to continue the work, the humanitarian work that we believe is very important. Margaret, please, you will tell us the names of the organization you have to nominate.
Je vais appeler la Fondation Jean-François Peterbrook. Véronique, venez, ma chère sœur.
I am calling on the Foundation Jean-François Peterbrook. Véronique, my sister, please join me on stage.
Je vais...
Now we ask the representatives, Patrick Godard, Véronique Peterbrook-Merlot, and Florence Terrier to come to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, to mark this special occasion of the inaugural Aurora Prize Ceremony, I'm proud to announce that the 3 Aurora Prize co-founders are providing an additional $25,000 to the other 3 Aurora Prize finalists, Tom Katina, Sieda, Fatima, and Father Bernard Kindi, to support the organizations that have inspired their work.
Yeah, please, I would say
I feel so little, so humble. Well, I have no words to say my feelings, I have to say. So, Mr. President, Your Holiness, dear founders of the Aurora Prize, dear co-president and members of the selection committee, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends.
As you see, NGOs can do teamwork. It is a great honor for the Fondation du Grand-Duc et de la Grande-Duchesse du Luxembourg, la Fondation Jean-François Peterbrook, et la Fondation Brüderlich Stehlen that Maggie received the Aurora Prize. We embrace it with gratitude, humility, and respect. Thank you for this generous act towards humanity. We would also like to congratulate the 4 nominees, Miss Fatima Seida Ghulam, Father Bernard Kindi, Dr. Tom Katena, and Maggie, and express our admiration and respect for their commitment.
Maison Shalom, Maggie, it's a long story. First, a story of deep friendship between people for more than 10 years. Thank you for your trust, Maggie, our dear sister. Next, a story on courage and commitment. A story of an exceptional woman helping the future of her country, Burundi. Since 1993, and through often risking her life, Maggie has dedicated her time to the thousands of orphans, victims of violence and civil war that ravage and unfortunately continues to ravage her country. Through Maison Shalom, Maggie rescues, soothes, restores, hope and reconciles children from different ethnic groups who had lost everything. Maison Shalom is also the story of a message of forgiveness, reconciliation, and peace. A message that gives hope, that creates a new generation of young people educated in solidarity, forgiveness, and respect beyond any ethnic and cultural background. And Maggie, it's the story of a woman who creates love where others spread hate, who, when facing violence and fatality, opens new possibilities, which combines love, creativity, will, courage, and progress. Finally, Maison Shalom, Maggie, is the story of a country, Burundi, where hate will not prevail. La Fondation du Grand-Duc et de la Grande-Duchesse de Luxembourg, la Fondation Jean-François Peterbrook et Bridre Dalen are particularly proud to be part of this amazing story.
As you know, since April 2015, Burundi has been shaken by a major political and security crisis. Faced with this new challenge, Maggie, refugee in Rwanda, continues, against all odds, to build and restore hope. Recognized in Rwanda as an international NGO, La Maison Shalom has refocused its activities, in particular for women and children. We followed Maggie to Rwanda, and we will continue to follow her in the future. Moreover, the Aurora Prize will allow us to reinforce our help to other projects, including Inuka in Goma, Congo, from a South-South collaboration with Maison Shalom. We would like to congratulate once again the initiative taken by the co-founders of the Aurora Prize. This award is a real encouragement for each and every one of us to take the risk of turning on the light in the middle of the darkness. And I'm honored to say also in the name of the Grand Duchess of Luxembourg to all you, thank you.
Before I will invite on the stage a very special guest who is today with us, I would like to now liberty expressing what I'm sure we're in opinion of all present here tonight. And thank you for the special, our hostess, who did a great, fantastic job. And I want to say you have been remarkable doing Hasmik Papian and David Ignatius for all these days, despite all the difficulties. I want to say thank you very much for what you did for them. And I also say a very big thank you to director of tonight's ceremony, Alexander Revzin from Russia, who did his job and he's been not sleeping all night trying to do. Friends, I won't say 2 days was very active, and I'm very, very happy that we launched new Humanitarian Index, we did a big conference, we started a new initiative, but today we have a very special privilege. I want to let you know we have a legend, very special guest, but I'm delighted in being able to join us today. Let's welcome the philanthropist, poet, writer, actor, and composer, the legendary inimitable French singer, Armenian origin, Charles Aznavour.
հայերը շատ մեծ չեն, ես պեմի վրա ավելի գարջ միկրոֆոն ունիմ։ Գսպասեք, որ հայերեն ջար մդամ, բայց հայերենս գեսկադար հայերեն է, ինչու գեսկադար, կխոսիմ, ընդանական հայերեն մոնիմ, մակ գեսը հայրգս ախացխացի, սեր լեզուն գոսի, էստեի լեզուն, մայրիգս ադաբազարցի, թուրքայերեն գոսի, և ես պեմի վրա հայերեն չեմ խոսիր, արդեն ֆրանսերենա չեմ խոսիր, անգլիերենա չեմ խոսիր, երբ որ բերանց կպանամ, երկելու համար է։ Je voudrais remercier Aurora qui a décidé de nous prendre. Je dis nous prendre parce que nous allons commencer une fondation en Arménie pour suivre Aznavour pour l'Arménie qui était en France. Ils nous prennent sous leurs ailes, avec l'accord bien sûr du gouvernement arménien. Et comme nous sommes lointains, ils vont beaucoup s'occuper de moi. Moi, je suis un peu comme les enfants avec les fondations. Il faut qu'on s'occupe de moi parce que j'ai trop d'idées et pas assez de temps. Asi ka franseren asi, j'aime kanimat franseren khosorga dans l'assistance franco-arménien.
I would like to.
And of course I can't do it. I can't ad-lib in Armenian, can't ad-lib in French, and can't ad-lib in English. The only thing I can do is and writing. Thank you very much.
Almost 30 years ago, Charles Aznavour wrote Pour toi, Arménie, as a tribute to this country and the strength of spirit of its people, following tragic events that happened here. Today, it will be performed by the world-famous baritone Georg Hagopian and the Hover Choir.
What a moving end to an unforgettable evening. Thank you all for participating in this first Aurora Prize Ceremony. A special thank you to Sergei Simbatyan and the State Youth Orchestra of Armenia for their unforgettable performances during the evening. Mr. President, Your Holiness, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have recognized true heroes and great tragedies. The spirit in which the founders created this prize leads us to reach out to the world, shake off victimization and inward-looking despair, and instead embrace our common humanity and tolerance.
As we live here, let us take this spirit of shared humanity and seek to do a little of the courageous work we have celebrated tonight. See you in Yerevan in April 2017.
So we will all join you in saying good night and meeting the journalists outside.